You're watching Channel 7. Welcome back to even more Daily Rundown with me, Dan Morfitt, Madie Howard and Cal Doughty. Labour leadership hopeful Owen Smith has today said that if elected, he would introduce a wealth tax on the richest 1% in order to fund the NHS. Mr Smith claims that this method will raise £3 billion a year. He has also vowed to reinstate the 50p tax rate, strengthen workers' rights as he promised, and promised a workplace revolution. The Labour leader, Jeremy Corbyn, has himself pledged to tackle job insecurity and workplace discrimination, which he has described as amongst the nation's ills. It is a relief that Labour are finally focusing on policy rather than all this infighting, or is it all quite mournful?
I think it's a relief that the media are focusing on Labour's policies rather than their infighting. Zing.
Because the yawning might be too much now.
Because I do think in this particular case, though, just to go back to the infighting, that he's just trying to steal Jeremy's supporters, because everything that he is saying is what Jeremy's in agreement with. He's not saying the opposite of what Jeremy believes and has believed for a 30-year career. He's just echoing his statements and saying, you know, follow me because I'm a pragmatist about it. Jeremy's a romantic and I'm the pragmatist. Yeah. And that's the kind of angle he's taking. So I think he knows what to say. And obviously those two things, in my opinion, it's obvious that they are very good things, beneficial things, and it's what Labour stands for. Yeah. So the people in the Labour Party, the majority of them, will be behind it. But I don't know why he feels like this is a radical opinion. I mean, it's interesting because I think he did describe himself as quite radical, didn't he? Yeah. And basically, the reason he described himself as quite radical is because Jeremy Corbyn is seen as quite radical, and he's just doing the same thing. I don't understand why Owen Smith is. I mean, I know exactly why he's running, but I don't understand why he's running this particular way, because he's pretty much saying, "Hey, I'm exactly the same as the guy I've already got. Please vote for me." Well,
isn't that to split that Jeremy Corbyn vote? Because absolutely. Owen Smith has basically gone with the mantra of, if you can't beat them, join them. Yep. Use the same policies, and using the same policies means that you're going to fight it out on personality alone. Yeah. And Owen Smith thinks he's got a better personality than, to some in the Parliamentary Labour Party, the divisive Jeremy Corbyn. The thing is with Owen Smith right now is he can say whatever he wants. He could put any policy forward that he wants because he's not beholden to it. This is a Labour leadership election. It's not even a general election. If he says these policies, gets Labour leader, he still doesn't have to enact any of them because he's still got all of this time until the general election to do something about it. And in those 4 years, he can then change his mind completely. So what he's saying right now is, what do people want to hear? What do people who I want to get on my side want to hear? And he's just saying that. We need to remember that he was for austerity. He still is very much for austerity, which is weird when he's saying these things as well at the same time. So to call for austerity, but then to also call for a wealth tax, is contradictory upon himself. It's also funny that we're seeing once again the rhetoric of, I'm going to take money from one place and give it to our NHS, which is the same thing as you saw on buses for the referendum. I think that's a really obvious sign that he has, let's say, employed a group of people or researchers to look at the psychology of how people react to certain topics. Yep. Now, what was the big reason that people voted for Brexit? It was because of the promise to the NHS. Yeah. So it's so transparent that that's where he's got it from. And of course, we would love to believe it because we value our NHS. And I do hope that that does happen. Do you think that's because to some extent the EU referendum split the Labour vote as well, very much down the middle? It was a majority of Labour still voted for Remain than Leave, but I think it's absolutely trying to speak to the people who did vote Leave. But I think those people weren't going to be with Corbyn anyway. To play devil's advocate, let's flip it on its head and say Jeremy Corbyn goes to Owen Smith and he goes, you know what, I don't have the support of my Parliamentary Labour Party. I'm still very, very big out amongst the general leadership. How about if you promise to enact all these things that you're promising, the 1% wealth tax, the 50p basic rates, I will stand down from the election and let Labour be spearheaded into a new future with Owen Smith as its leader. Can you see that happening? I mean, I can't ever see Jeremy Corbyn do that because he is a man of his morals and he's a man of his... He's very strong, so I don't think he would ever back down in that sort of way.
he's in it to the end now, pretty much.
I think even though I am a Jeremy Corbyn supporter, the main priority for me would be for Labour to find any way they can to not only get back to their roots, such as, you know, redistribution of wealth, top rate tax, traditional-ish Labour policies. So I would love for them to find any route to do that. However, Owen Smith, he just doesn't seem genuine like Jeremy Corbyn does. And there's proof in Jeremy Corbyn's career, his character, the words he uses, and his track record.
Owen Smith doesn't have that track record or that backing to him.
So, in the future, because this is going to rumble on for a while, should I stop yawning every time we mention Labour leadership? Because
possibly
it's important, but at the same time, they should have got this sorted quicker, shouldn't they?
They should have never even needed to get anything sorted in the first place. This shouldn't be an issue. This shouldn't be an issue right now.
I think personality politics is really largely to blame. You touched on it earlier, and it's true that people just see a young, middle-class, very educated white man as the best person to lead your party. And I think probably ageism and things like that play into it, and that's a big reason why people think that Jeremy Corbyn's unelectable. That, and, you know, the bias against him from certain media sources. That is why they're saying he's unelectable.
Well, something like this is going to rumble on. We'll keep talking about it on the Daily Rundown, and I promise now to stop yawning every time we mention it. Right, some good news. Do you remember the Ice Bucket Challenge?
I do.
In 2014, dumping a bucket of cold water over your head in the name of ALS, motor neuron disease, took the internet by storm. 2 years on, the ALS Association has revealed that the money raised during the campaign, a whopping £87.7 million, has actually led to a medical breakthrough. Scientists have discovered a new gene called NEK1 that contributes to forms of the disease. The discovery of NEK1 means that scientists can now begin to find ways to treat it. The viral video sensation was criticised as a stunt 2 years ago, but has since funded 6 research projects involving more than 80 researchers in 11 countries. Now, do we remember the challenge for ALS, motor neuron disease? And are we surprised that it's led to such this great breakthrough?
I do remember the challenge, and I remember.
Did you do the challenge?
I didn't ever get nominated to do the challenge. So as the rules of the challenge were basically, there was like it started, and then you do the challenge, you pour the ice bucket on yourself, and then you nominate other people. And when they're nominated, they've got to do it. And while you're doing it, you've got to donate money to the ALS charity as well. Like, not only is it raising awareness, but everyone who does it puts in £1 or £2 or whatever. I didn't want to just suddenly go, because there was a lot of people fearing of like bandwagoning, like, oh, everyone's just doing it to get on the bandwagon, everyone's just doing it, they don't really care about ALS, they don't really care about that. And there was a bit of that going on. You saw some celebrities doing it, saying like, I'm doing this for Mary Curie cancer, and it's like, that's not what it's for.
Yeah.
You're meant to be doing this for ALS.
Because the whole point of the Ice Bucket Challenge was when you poured the ice bucket over you, and you shivered, it mimics the effects of motor neuron disease, ALS, upon the body. Madie, did you do the Ice Bucket Challenge?
I'm in a worse situation. I got nominated.
Oh no.
And I didn't do it. Yeah, I know. I never got around to actually doing it, but there was more a focus on the part where you pour water on yourself than there was on the donation part.
Yes.
It's something that went completely viral and went huge. Everybody was doing it. It was on the news every other day.
Not that I'm cynical against it, because obviously it's a beneficial thing. You know, it shouldn't be a surprise that it led to a breakthrough when, you know, everybody, let's say, or most people who did it or saw it donated towards it. And people always have these sort of arguments whenever there's a majority having fun, playing Pokemon Go or doing the Ice Bucket Challenge. There's always criticism and, you know, oh, I wouldn't do that. You're only doing it to jump on the bandwagon. Yeah. The bandwagon isn't hurting anyone. What's wrong with the bandwagon?
This has put the cynics back in their box, hasn't it? Because over $100 million raised, and it's come up with this great breakthrough that could actually help us treat motor neuron disease, ALS. Is it something that do you think is going to be copied by other charities now? They're going to try and find some spark, because this was only a small thing, and then a couple of celebrities took it on, and the ball started rolling. Do you think other charities might try and create the effect artificially?
You still see some things like that every now and then, especially with everything needing to go viral these days. But I think because of things like ALS and it happening, it being like a first time sort of thing that really spawned this massive phenomenon, I think it's difficult to replicate that, and I think people are much more wary now when you're trying to replicate that because
people
it's already happened.
To it, aren't
exactly,
they?
They're incredibly more savvy to it. So I think it's has to be something really special like Pokemon Go to really sort of just to get its hook into people. It has to come from seemingly nowhere for it to actually work. It can't just be like, because otherwise people just feel like, oh, it's just corporate people trying to get me to do something, which is tricky.
Hashtag whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, it's a great news story to end on. So that's all we have time for in this part of the show. But we'll be back next with music from the returning Dom Major. Plus, our guests will also have their something to say. The Daily Rundown returns in a couple of minutes' time, so please keep it on That's Manchester here on Channel 7.